Hi, I'm Gail Howard. I'm one of the school nurses with Novato Unified School District, and recently we've changed our lice policy. We're lucky to have Dr. Eric Scher here today, who's a pediatrician, and he's going to give us some information about the current lice procedures.
Thanks, Gail. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to share this information with the students' parents in our school system. Most recently, the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Centers for Disease Control made some very important statements regarding lice in the school environment. And in the school system, we've really identified that most children who identify to have lice have probably had that for at least even a month at the time. And also, in most cases, children don't pass lice on from child to child, or even adults for that matter, unless their hair is touching each other, such as sleepovers or camping events. That the risk is not as high as we thought in the school system, that probably we are isolating children, keeping them out of school, keeping families out of work too often by sending them home and having them stay at home until they don't see any more lice. So they've changed now their recommendations and are very strong about those recommendations, and that children who are identified with lice in school or at home, the families will be called, they'll be identified. They can stay in the school the rest of the day unless the family prefers them to come home at the time. And then they undergo treatment. And the treatment is often over the counter, and families can, of course, talk to the nursing staff at school as well as to their healthcare providers to find out what treatment's best for them. And there is a multitude of treatments now, most of which is over the counter, but there are other alternatives if they don't get treated effectively by those. But in most cases, they will be treated and then can come right back to school again without looking and searching for the nits, which are the eggs that are in the hair. Those are often misidentified by people, whether they're healthcare providers or parents. They often are dandruff, they're debris in the hair. They're often hatched eggs that are already there that do not have any problems. And the nits, which are the eggs, don't go from person to person. It's just a live lice.
Eric, some people are concerned about what kind of cleaning they have to do after they've treated.
Well, that's the other thing that's sometimes misidentified and misconstrued, and that is that if someone has lice, it's a dirty environment they come from, and that's not the case at all. Lice can be seen through people who shower over and over again. As kids sometimes, you just have clean lice then at the time, rather than going ahead and having somebody who's more at risk. So showering, cleaning is not an important part of developing a problem with such things.
Now, do they have to super clean their house afterwards?
Well, there are things that they need to do, and we can give them, of course, information as to what they should do. Most lice do not live more than moments off of a hair shaft where there's some blood supply. So in most cases, there's not a problem being on bedding, but we do recommend washing bedding in hot water, using a dryer, a hot cycle to go ahead and do those, and similarly the things that may be in the bed, such as stuffed animals and things such as that, blankets, probably will be in a heat environment, or as some people recommend, putting in plastic bags and isolating for a couple of weeks as well. But those are things that your healthcare provider, and I'm sure the nursing staff over in the school system will help to give information to families. And I know there'll be pamphlets handed out as well to give them all this information. One of the most important things, again, is to make families feel comfortable with the fact that their child could still be at school, that if in fact there are children with lice at school, that the risk of transfer to another child is very low. And so we advocate again for families to treat, to send their child back to school, and to feel comfortable with that environment. And working together, I think we can make this work. And I know it's a change in culture, very challenging to do, but I think that your healthcare providers, if you talk to them, as well as our school nurses, would advocate this as a very fundamental and safe way for us to move ahead with this topic.
And thank you for your information today.
My pleasure. Thank you.